Each of us has our own unique background and story of how we became a part of Chiefs Kingdom.
Our reach is far and wide, with fans all over the world cheering on our Kansas City Chiefs.
Everyone donning the red and gold has figuratively signed that mutual agreement and come together for one common purpose.
For 76,000 of us at a time, to descend upon Arrowhead, man our stations, let out our loudest battle cry to the tune of 142.2 decibels, and make that stadium rock until our opponents beg for mercy.
We are unrelenting in our pride for this city, these players, and this team. This is the show for the Allies, Arrowhead Allies.
You know things are going well when you've got Brian B. Shinen showing up. I say pit vipers, but he looks like somebody that's about to hop into the ring and turn heel on somebody and give them a rock bottom. Welcome, everyone, to Arrowhead Allies. It's so great to be here. We got four of us. The fifth ally, Michael, the Money Badger Matthew, is on his way. When you live, guys, in LA, it's like 30 minutes just to get home from like the gas station. So Michael's probably caught in some horrific traffic on the 109. We'll get him as soon as we can. Preseason game 1 in the books, guys. How are these allies doing? How's everybody feeling? Just look at all these faces. Gaze upon them and smile at it.
I'm feeling good, man. That preseason game was just what I needed. The starters, not so much. They tried to feature Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That didn't go well. Justin Reed on the back end for the secondary didn't go well. But once they started getting some backups in, some of these other rookies that we've seen, the Felix, Anaduke Uzama, defensive end, Justin Ross, Rashee Rice. I mean, you started seeing these guys really come alive, and you even saw a little bit out of the starters. If you looked at left tackle Donovan Smith, he was out there holding his own, looking like he's back to his Pro Bowl form. So hopefully we can get that side of him. What did you see, Shaggy?
I saw a team that ready to come out and just play preseason football. You know, you don't look for wins. You don't really hold up. You'd like to win, but by the time the fourth quarters come in, you're seeing quarterbacks with the last name that you think might be a character on Star Wars. I mean, what is an Okadon? But anyway, you know, the starters came out and they played as good as they could. You know, they didn't get across 50-yard line, but the tight end quarterback sneak is it's getting stale. It's getting real stale. Opposing defenses, even in preseason, see that, Blake Bell's going in motion. Ha, 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 ha.
Colin Saunders might have called that out.
Saunders got up and said, I've seen this a million times. Blake Bell's going to get it. Stuffed his booty short. So that's the only thing I really didn't like, because the Chiefs don't have a fullback on the roster. So they're going to have to think about maybe letting Patrick Mahomes go for a quarter inch. I mean, last
Yes.
checked.
Yes, I believe.
Can run quarterback sneak for a half a yard. It was a fluke how he got injured 2, 3, 4 years ago, but that's a different subject totality. It was nice to see preseason football. What do you say, B. Shinen?
Man, nothing to really take from the starters on offense, but I do raise concern for the starters on defense. Now, you got to get in the groove and you got to get in the rhythm of the game, and you got to kind of, figure out the ebbs and flows of a team and what they do, their tendencies and all of that, right? But Justin Reed, man, I don't know, man. He, we've been hearing whispers about Kelsey giving him the business up in practice in St. Joseph, and it translated on the field in New Orleans in that game on Saturday. I was concerned about how Derek Carr was just carving through our defense. He really was. But like I said, you got to really get into the flow of the game to really have a good overall view and opinion of how the Chiefs defense might be this year. But I thought the O-line looked good. I love how the second and third teams really put it on the Saints. Like they really smothered New Orleans offensively and defensively. I like how they fought back. we lost on the fluke play. They shouldn't even got that touchdown in the first place. So that's not anything of concern. But that defense, man, it's raised my level of concern.
Yeah, you saw Trent McDuffie out there, a ball going over his hand. Is he the shutdown corner that people think? I don't really go there yet. He's going to have to prove that this season. Had a great rookie season. Hopefully he can carry that over, put this one little pass in preseason behind him and get back to form. But also Justin Reed was talking a lot of stuff this offseason about how people are disrespecting him. He's going to come out. He's going to show what he's made of. He's the best safety in the game. Didn't look like it there. Derek Carr was slicing him up wherever number 20 was. Derek Carr's like, there he is. I'm going there. And he found him, and his man was open. So, Shaggy, I don't know if that concerned you.
I turned to my wife after Derek Carr threw the touchdown, and I said, here we go, honey. Just like the Super Bowl, the opposing team went right down and scored. And it was against our starters without Chris Jones. But I think it's hard to I mean, you have to give them the benefit of the doubt only because it is preseason and they're not game planning schemes on how to stop this receiver.
Yeah.
Kamara picking up this blitz. Or Derek Carr looked good. He looked really good. And I'm
Chris Jones.
Yeah, without Chris Jones. But I think that I'm not going to get upset about in preseason. I'm not going to get upset about the defense as a whole. When we're looking for matchups. How did this guy do? Yeah, Derek Carr, or was it Jameis Winston, placed it just over Trent McDuffie's fingertips. It looked like McDuffie read it well, played it well. All they had to do was jump. Oh, it was just out of reach. And the receiver caught it, took it in for a touchdown. So if we're looking for individual matchup, Trent McDuffie definitely lost that one. Let's hope he learns from it, regroups, and is ready to take that slippery field in Arizona next week and learn from it and go.
Yeah, we can keep the conversation going. I'm just going to play the highlights, and we can keep it going here. So
it was just the man coverage that Justin Reed was in. But we can get to this play. Was that Richie James play?
Yeah, these are Richie James. Yeah.
Okay, and then that was a touchdown. Man, he ran some great routes. I like how Richie James was getting in and out of his breaks. Justin Ross, Shaggy, he showed all the promise that we've been hoping for from him in this game.
Mm-hmm, definitely. I love the kid. The kid's got a lot of potential. He was above T. Higgins, if you want to go back to keeping it real to the Clemson University days. And if he could just stay healthy, he could be a dynamic. Before, and many of you know this, I've made it no secret. 15 months ago, I created the Justin Ross fan page. One day after me and Pat Mahomes Sr. talked about the upside this kid has once he returns from injury. So, there's been a lot of talk about Justin Ross, going back to the day we picked him up after he was drafted. So there is a lot of hype. I'm not going to act like I'm the one creating the hype, but I was there at the beginning because I believe in this kid when he is healthy. Now, he did suffer what Andy Reid said today, a knee or a hamstring. Matt Verderame was on 610 this afternoon, and I heard him say he doesn't think Justin Ross injury is that big of a deal at all compared to what happened to Ismar Marset and Remigio today, because obviously all the wide receivers are getting hurt. So again, specifically to Justin Ross, man, I love this kid's upside. I love everything he's had to endure, and he's a weapon. And the first time he got the ball, it was 2nd and 2. He caught a 3-yard pass and swung the cornerback off his back and ran for 11 more yards, turning it into a 14-yard gain. And the crossing pattern that he ran was a 17-yard touchdown pass from Shane Buechele. It was a beautiful crossing pattern. Buechele read it perfectly. Ross cut across the middle and made a great catch. So I'm definitely excited about seeing him play, and I really hope he's going to be playing this Saturday night in Arizona.
Shane Buechele. How about Shane Buechele though, with the nifty feet?
Definitely, he shook off that interception he threw in the second quarter because that looked really bad. He tried to force that. He was flat-footed and stumbling backwards, and he threw that pass to Justin Ross, who was covered, and that was tipped from the interception. It was great to see Shane Buechele respond in the second half the way he did with those 2 consecutive touchdown drives. What do you think, Clint?
Yeah, it's I think we have to also think about this for the Saints when you are showcasing a new quarterback and Derek Carr is in there. And this is a team that has a real chance to win the NFC South. In fact, I would definitely predict that if I really was in the business of predicting NFC outcomes. I'm really not, because that's just kind of a waste of time. But I do think that this is an NFC South champion type team here with the New Orleans Saints. We've seen what the defense has been the last few years. Derek Carr is going to provide some competence there. Michael Thomas back in the fold there kind of hurt the Chiefs on that first couple drives. So I think for the Saints, especially at home, it was important that they established themselves. And for the Chiefs, well, you saw what the Chiefs brought out there the first 3 plays. Clyde, and we're out. And then fourth down, stop, and we're out. So what are you trying to do? Showcase Clyde Edwards-Helaire for a trade, or just basically show your hand that you're not in this game to be serious? And whatever the case may be on that. I do want to kind of talk about these injuries. Shane, you brought them up. And we were really hoping for Justin Ross. It would be really mentally a major hurdle for a lot of fans, for the organization, for Justin himself, if this were to be serious and cost him more time. Like, we really need this momentum to continue. For Jody Fortson, one that you didn't bring up, season-ending shoulder surgery. We got to start facing it, be shining here, that this could be the end of the road for Jody Fortson. I think it is.
And I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I thought like he had that P word, man. Potential is dangerous, because you never know what could happen. And unfortunately with Jody, it's been injuries this whole time. And we've seen just flashes of what he could do. The game that he had against Washington 2 years ago. He was scoring
the Chargers 2 years ago.
Man, I mean, look, he's had some spectacular catches, and I felt like it was more of that in him. He's a mismatch for whoever. When he was a receiver at first, and he converted to tight end. Many people forget, but it sucks because I thought that Patrick really could use his size, because size is a skill, and you see what Patrick can do with Kelsey. You saw what he did with Juju last year. So the more size you have with Patrick, I think that is definitely a big advantage, one that the Chiefs really didn't get to see a lot of with Jody Fortson, man. It sucks.
Yeah, and we got to welcome in the fifth ally. The Money Badger is here, everybody. Michael Matthew.
What's happening,
up, guys?
Michael.
How you guys doing, man? You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Recapping the game, recapping Sunday afternoon in New Orleans. What'd you see that you liked, Mikhail?
It was kind of like the Chiefs were just like, hey, let's just show up. Let's get hit by players, and you guys go hit some guys. It was like no game plan. They didn't really try to work on. I think they tried more of the stuff that they need to work on than actually come out and game planning. And of course, we miss Chris Jones because CJ is who he is, and you saw that. But man, it was just a lot of whatever. And that's what you expect from the preseason game number 1. I think week 2, you're going to see a lot more. You guys were talking about Jody. I think that's a big hit, man, because that was a big body that, Patrick liked to feed. In the red zone, he was a good help. But, man, the Chiefs are going to be all right. It's a few things that I took away from the game, like the running game. I want to see, some improvement. And I hope that we cut off the short Blake Bell quarterback sneak.
Oh, God.
It is the worst play in football, the history of the NFL. And we need to let that go. But other than that, the Chiefs, they're going to be all right.
Yeah, we've talked about kind of some of the injuries. We've talked about Jody. Nico went down with the shoulder. We'll have to see how that progresses. And Justin Ross, Shaggy, you mentioned it there. Matt Verderam talked about how he doesn't think it's a big deal. Well, so did Ian Rappaport. This one does not appear to be serious. He should be okay. Some good news there for Chiefs Kingdom. So hopefully it's not serious. And like you said, hopefully he's out there Saturday for that game.
Beautiful. Plus, hey, look, it was a noon game too. The Chiefs were sleepy. Very sleepy. They came out. They came out a little sluggish.
It meant more to the New Orleans Saints. They got a new quarterback.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of like the Chiefs in 2012 when Brian Daboll's our new offensive coordinator. He's going to simplify the offense.
Peyton Hillis
can succeed, and Matt Campbell and Brian Daboll came out there in preseason.
Stanford route.
Yes,
Stanford route.
Yes,
golly, that was such a disaster, bro. That 2012 season, and a lot of us had high hopes.
because
going into that season because of the end of the last season, right?
Yeah.
We beat the
Right.
what 15-1 Packers. We're
Yep.
the only loss because Romeo
Yeah.
Cornell. We thought he was, going to Bill Belichick his way us into
In
the
Romeo
playoffs.
we trust.
But
He
Chiefs would have won the
yeah,
division in
but
11.
specifically
we almost did. We
but
almost won the
specifically
division
on
that
point
year.
to what it
Tim
meant.
Tebow.
What it meant in August of 2012 at
Mm-hmm.
Arrowhead is the same thing at what it meant in August of 2023 in New Orleans. It meant
Fair
something
enough.
to them.
Yeah, because I think the Chiefs looked at this preseason game like, we just want to go in there and not get hurt. And I can remember for years the Patriots will play the preseason. They'll go 0-4. Nobody would care. They'll go win 12, 13 games and play for a Super Bowl. So it's a lot of people, Chiefs Twitter that, I take part in that are coming up with all these little critiques and all that. I'm like, it is game one of the preseason.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter for the Chiefs because, we're the defending champions.
Here's a
Well,
question I'm going to pose. No, I'm going to go to you
Go
on
for it.
this. I want to know because there are not a lot of players on this team that were here after Super Bowl 54 in 2020. Coming off of that, this team almost ran it back, went 14-2, got to the Super Bowl before being embarrassed by the Bucs. But this team is every week there was some new event. There was a ring ceremony. Travis Kelce's hosting Saturday Night Live. There was just something every 5 seconds, a commercial being shot. It was all about the Chiefs all off season. So how does this team maintain the hunger? And could this be a good thing? They go out there as flat as it was and like, hey, you got to start all over. Every season in the NFL, the margin is too thin. You got to start this thing over, press the refresh button. The Chiefs, in a lot of ways, went and stole a Super Bowl last year when they were not definitively the best team in the NFL down the stretch. And then you go in off season, you're getting rings, you're unveiling them on social media. Every single thing is about you all off season long. So this team, has got to remain hungry. And how do you do that when there's not a lot of players on this team that were there for the last one?
By adding the new players, by adding the new blood.
Yeah.
Putting the new blood in here, getting those guys that are hungry for rings. Like like Richie James, maybe.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I like what the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are gonna have to do that anyway. With the way that the cap is structured, with Mahomes contract, Chris Jones contract, whatever. You gotta infuse these not very old veterans, but you gotta pick and choose. And this, Brett Veach, he does a good job with that, picking and choosing those veterans to come on in.
I have a question for you, Clint. Who's the Chiefs quarterback?
Right. Facts. Thank you, Michael. Right.
I guess it's Blaine Gabbert or this James Michelle guy. I don't know. Do we have Baker Mayfield in here? I don't know.
As long as 15 is the quarterback and Andy Reid is the head coach, that team is going to come out hungry because Patrick Mahomes is chasing a ghost, as you could say. He's chasing the ghost of Tom Brady. So I have to get as close to 7 as possible to make me a viable threat to the greatest of all time quarterback. So he knows that, hey, any opportunity I have to make sure that my team is ready in practice, whether we're chirping at the defense, how serious we're taking all the meetings. Patrick Mahomes, over his dead body, will he be on a team that's not prepared to go and win, a Super Bowl or at least get close to one?
No, I think it's a valid question, though. We saw what happened to Rocky in Rocky 3.
Yes. That's kind of what I base my entire life on, what happens to Rocky in certain parts of his life. And that's a very good kind of pairing with those, what's happening to the Chiefs right now, what happened to Rocky. And I think that the Chiefs have been here and they've done this before. In 2021, and people talked about, oh man, the Chiefs without Tyreek Hill, or the Chiefs, they're playing this cover 2 shell with Tyreek Hill. They're playing this cover 2 shell. What's going to happen? They had a little bit of a slow start. They had to figure that out as the season went along. So I think that they stay hungry. They know what's on the table. They know that a lot of the higher ups, even if they're a rookie coming in, or Rashee Rice, guys that have only been here for a year, were rookies last year. They know, and we talked to Brian Cook at the MVS softball game. He said he knows what's at stake. He knows that Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Andy Reid, that this is a dynasty, that they're coming in here, that there's pressure on them to perform right away and perform at a high level because they're not going to be the reason that the Chiefs don't go and fight for another AFC Championship game at home, another Super Bowl. They're not going to be the reason that fans are pointing at them. Well, we would have done it if Brian Cook didn't fail here, or Sky Moore didn't do this, or Trent McDuffie didn't progress, and they didn't take the offseason seriously. They took the offseason very seriously. They talked about training camp, being in the dorm rooms, going over film together as a secondary, because they knew that a lot was expected of them, because there's a lot of turnover in that secondary and a lot was going to be put on their plate. But I also like this question from Steve Harold. With injuries today, how does that affect the final 53 roster? Maybe we don't keep 4 tight ends. Maybe you were thinking about it with Jody Fortson and Blake Bell and Noah Gray and Travis Kelce. Maybe keep 3. So maybe it does lend itself to keeping the 7 receivers.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I think they put a receiver on the IR, just to have that space. But I do think that with Jody's injury, that that they're going to just go in with 3 tight ends and find a way to make it happen, because Danny Shelton showed that he can play some fullback. So that's going to help. But hey, I want to answer this thing by Scotty Lutz, because I can't have you hop in as a Raider fan disrespecting my Chiefs. Is Larry Bird better than Michael Jordan? Michael Jordan never beat Larry Bird in the playoffs, but everybody knows that MJ is a GOAT. It's the same thing with Tom Brady. But I just had to get that out there. But yeah, it's going to be interesting with the receivers, with the injuries occurring to Ross once again, to see if that's going, like, if he can't play, is that going to affect him getting a roster spot? But I think for the tight ends, and I think that 3 might be the number once again.
Yeah, we want to thank Scotty for coming in here, Raiders fan. All fans are welcome to come in here and partake and enjoy the show and give your take, whether it's Bengals fans, Bills fans, Raiders fans. Come on, come on.
Except Bengals fans. You don't want that.
Come on, Michael.
So, Brian's wife not invited, I guess. Uh-oh.
Oh, sorry, B. Sorry, B. Sorry, man.
She good. She good, man. She be all right.
She the only pass. They just go crazy on Twitter whenever you mention anything Chiefs. They throw 3 and 1 in front of us like we don't have 2 Super Bowls.
That's what I would do too if I had no Super Bowls myself. I'd be throwing 3 and 1. I did that all the time in the 90s when I lived for those moments. We beat John Elway, and I pounded my chest, and I was like, "We came back, 54-yard field goal, Pete Stoyanovich. Ha, Broncos, take that!" And then they won 2 Super Bowls in a row.
Right.
Hey, go ahead, Michael.
No, I was gonna say shout out to Kevin. What's up, bro? But I've been hearing. I even talked to Darren about who was there at the game, and I was like, hey, are the Chiefs showcasing Clyde? Are they putting him out there because they potentially want to trade him, or eventually release him? But what he was saying was like he can't see it because Pacheco's not healthy and things like that. And I feel the same. I feel that you have to have Clyde there available because Pacheco is banged up. McKinnon still does have a history of injuries and things like that you don't want to have one of those guys go down when you don't have a Clyde and you forcing Prince or P. Ryan have to come in. But if you can somehow get Kareem Hunt to come back to the Chiefs, that will change everything. But I don't see Clyde traded.
Let it go, bro.
Yeah, another generational talent drafted by John Dorsey. Oh,
There we go.
Generational talent.
Well, we didn't quite make it that
dog.
far here because he got released. I think we would be talking about him with like a Tyreek Hill type of draft.
It's time to go forward. It's fun to think about that. But
also,
the Chiefs aren't going. Go ahead, Brian.
Well, I just want to say, speaking of running backs, P. Ryan look better than Prince to me. Was that just my eyes, or
he got some run with the first team today in practice? They were saying above Prince. So,
well, the elephant in the room, and it's a big elephant, is Chris Jones. And what I need, yes, thank you for bringing that up, Noah. What we have to do is look at this, and as it says here, it's more complicated, and it's a concern. Chris Jones' situation, in my opinion, and I want all your takes, and I'm sure you're going to give it to me, but since I got the floor, I got to say this. It is important to take care of your own guys. Chris Jones has been a team player. He's been here since 2016. And when we won the Super Bowl, let's go back to when the Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill. Before the Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill, we knew down the line yeah, we're probably going to have to trade Chris Jones because we're going to give Tyreek Hill that money. He's going to get it. It didn't happen. We traded him. It turned out to pay huge dividends for the Kansas City Chiefs roster, especially on the defensive side of the football. But when we won the Super Bowl last February, it was a given. Chris Jones is going to get his money because he deserves it, and he is the second best defensive tackle in the National Football League. You know, if you're going to criticize Brett Veach, I think some of the criticism of him isn't fair. Do I think Noah and Clint take it a little too far? Sometimes,
That's what we do.
But they have their point. You can't criticize anybody who says, I don't like Brett Veach. John Dorsey's a lot much better. Well, John Dorsey didn't win 2 Super Bowls. Brett Veach did. But if you want to criticize Brett Veach, people say, well, the Chiefs won't trade Chris Jones right now because there is nobody on the roster that can replace him. Hell, in March of 2018, there was nobody on the roster that could replace Marcus Peters, but they traded him for a bag of peanuts. And what happened in the AFC Championship game in overtime? Tom Brady hit 3 passes on 3rd and 10. Do you think Marcus Peters probably could have freaking broke up maybe, I don't know, one of them? I think so.
Thanks, Eric Berry.
So Brett Veach showed, hey, I could trade a really good player, even though I don't have anybody to replace him. We don't need Marcus Peters. We can get Orlando Scandrick, and Traymon Smith, and Steven Nelson. So Brett Veach can show those tendencies because when he first became a GM his first season, he did that. But like I said, he traded Tyreek Hill. He got a hell of a reward. So don't think we won't wake up tomorrow. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying worst case scenario. Don't think we can't wake up tomorrow and see Chris Jones was traded to the Detroit Lions for their next year's #1 draft pick. And the Detroit Lions just made Chris Jones the highest paid defensive tackle in the NFL. And then the entire Chiefs Twitter, Chiefs Kingdom will go, dang, we don't have anybody to replace him. Well, Brett Veach did that in 2018. There was nobody to replace Marcus Peters. Now,
but this is different.
You pay your guys. You pay the core of the team. Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes is the core of the offense. You don't have anybody. Chris Jones is the straw that stirs the drink. Chris Jones is the straw that stirs the drink in the defense side of the football. The cornerbacks are good because of Chris Jones. The outside pass rush is good because of Chris Jones. Steve Spagnuolo can blitz because of Chris Jones. You take care of Chris Jones. Brett Veach has to open up that paycheck and give Chris Jones whatever he wants because he's been fair. He's been honest. He's been sincere. He bleeds Chiefs red. Chris Jones has spent the entire offseason tweeting, I'm a Chief for life. The first person he thanked at the ESPYs last month on ESPN in front of the world was Brett Veach. Take care of Brett Veach. Take care of Chris Jones. He is the guy on defense. And if you don't, it's going to set a precedent to the world. Wow. Brett Veach doesn't take care of Tyreek Hill. Brett Veach doesn't take care of Marcus Peters. Brett Veach doesn't take care of Chris Jones. Who is he going to take care of? Is he going to take care of Trey Smith, Creed Humphrey? Is he going to take care of Nick Bolton, Willie Gay, L'Jarius Sneed? When all these contracts come up, I don't like it. It's not trending well. We need to wait.
I have this dance.
Yeah, in 5 seconds. We need to wake up tomorrow morning or sometime this week and said the Chiefs and Chris Jones have worked it out. Chris Jones got what he wanted. It's time. Take it away, Brian.
Good stuff.
Shouts. Yeah, man. Shaggy. Yeah, man. Good stuff, my brothers. First off, shouts to my brothers. Chris G, he in the building, and DJ Street King. Appreciate y'all fellas and all of the Arrowhead Allies in and around the world. All right. So, man, look. I want to make it clear that I come from the stance of I want 95 here. I do. Defense isn't the same without him.
Mm-hmm.
We clearly saw that as Derek Carr carved us up. He went chop suey on us, okay? But with that being said, man, Shaggy, you're looking at it with your Chiefs goggles on, with your fan goggles.
No,
and it's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Here's the thing, though. Like, we're just as passionate as you are about it. And the thing is, man, the job of Brett Veach is to manage the cap that the beloved John Dorsey did not do, which ultimately was one of the things that led him getting kicked out. That wasn't even the thing. It was other stuff too. But he has to manage this cap, one. Two, he has to look out for the future of the Kansas City Chiefs. All right? And who says that a 32, 33-year-old Chris Jones is a part of the future of the Chiefs? Look, the precedent has been set, man. It's been set. He don't pay guys that are approaching 30. He did it with Tyreek Hill. He's done it with other players. He traded D Ford. He's not going to get these second and third contracts unless you're Patrick Mahomes. Kelsey, you can't count him in. It's apples and oranges because we get him on a discount.
Yeah.
We're getting him on a major. If Travis Kelsey were to hold out today, he would have every right to. If he demanded the Chiefs pay him $21 million a year. You think, well, excuse me, what is the offense going to look like without Travis Kelsey? So I don't think you can compare that with Chris Jones. And look, there's comments in the comment section saying that Chris Jones needs to report to work. Like, look, man, this is a once in an opportunity lifetime for you to get to the bag. We're talking about life-changing bag. We're talking about generation bags. And these guys can go out here and walk out in their front yard and slip on a piece of grass or something, tear their ACL, and that bag is gone forever. It's gone. Their body is their bag. So they got to get every single cent, dog. And here's the thing what some people don't understand, and where I can understand because I come from the same socio-economic situations as a lot of these guys. And this is, we're looking at it as, man, please stay in Kansas City. Please play for the Chiefs because we love the Chiefs. But they love their family. They love the investment that they've made into their body. They love the fact that I can still get to the bag right now as opposed to later on when I might not, my stock might not be as high, my leverage might not be as high. So this is why I say that some people are looking at it from their Chiefs goggles, from their fanhood, instead of it looking at it what it really is, which is a business. At the end of the day, it's about winning, but it's definitely about that bottom line. Let's be clear about that. And these players, they're feeling like the squeeze is already on them with these contracts and everything. So they got to get every single cent while they can. Chris Jones, for the rest of his life, I'm gonna end it with this. For the rest of his life, okay? And this is no like extreme. For the rest of his life, he's never gonna have the leverage he has now with playing football. He's never going to have, we just came off a Super Bowl win. He's never going to have it like this for the rest of his life. He's still in his prime. He's trying to get to the bag, dog, and I understand it. And this is why I've always came from the stance of, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to keep him.
I want to respond to that, Brian. You made some good points. I'm looking at it, yes, as a fan, but as a perspective of 31 other teams, they're going to see the Chiefs didn't want to extend Tyreek Hill. And if they don't extend Chris Jones and trade him tomorrow or next week or screw the salary cap up since we don't have any wiggle room, let him play his last year and let him go. That is bad. It's bad perception.
We can't let him walk. Are we going to franchise tag him if he plays this season?
I think
you can't go. It's the precedent.
Franchise and trade next year. I don't know.
Shaggy, you got to remember who the blueprint is, and the blueprint is the Patriots run, and the Patriots did whatever they had to do. I remember they cut Lawyer Malloy, who was one of their leaders, star safeties, a week before the season began. So sometimes you have to make those sacrifices if it's going to help the team, as long as it's not affecting number 15. Who you have to always have on your roster. You have to find ways. But I do think that the Chiefs have to find a way to keep Chris Jones because he is so impactful, So hopefully they're coming up with a plan. They can figure this thing out because the more time that it takes, the scarier it looks, especially for the outside looking in. But who knows? Maybe Chris Jones is like, hey, I don't want to be at training camp anyway. So I'm kicking in here, waiting until we can get back in Kansas City where I can stay at my house and go
which
to
is
practice,
next week.
which is next week. So
And
I'm just going to wait until, that time occurs, because I've seen it happen before. I've seen guys wait until their teams get back from training camp. But
Larry Johnson.
Man, exactly. LJ.
Or maybe he'll be a Raider, according to this
Nah,
tweet that
man, chill. Don't do
Stone
that
Cold
now.
Jones
Come on
liked.
now.
That would be devastating for Brian, I know. But Chris Jones, who's just kind of he's a really funny person, great personality, and he likes to have fun. We saw what he did with the Michael Bay kind of swerve there, and now he's like this tweet. If the Chiefs don't want Stone Cold Jones,
These
to
are chess moves.
great. That's how he, and that's great. That's
look beyond the smoke. These
no
are
one
chess
is.
moves. These are negotiations. No, Shaggy was like the first person that he think was Brett Veach. All right, that's a chess move, bro.
Chess move.
He's trying to and it worked, because you're thinking like, oh man, he think Brett Veach. That mean they on good terms, or like that's the smoke. That's the facade.
Well, we're not into the business of smoke and facade. We're just we're football. This is the NFL.
Okay. Well, here's the thing: the fan persuasion. Like like Shaggy he's on the Chris Jones, and of course a number of us are. Me too, on the Chris Jones bandwagon. You know what I'm saying? That perpetuates you needing to sign him. That gets all of the fans on the player side, which equals leverage for Chris Jones. Because if the Chiefs don't sign Chris Jones, it might be hell to pay.
You can't say that there's it's a smokescreen because he thanked Brett Veach, because he's been positive. He could have been all spring, pay me or trade me. He could have said, pay me or trade me. I'll take the money, pay me or trade me. He has been positive. He has been positive. That's what you want to see. You never got that vibe from Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill wasn't tweeting, Chiefs Kingdom, I love you, Brett Veach. He never once said that. Not to say that Tyreek Hill is exactly like Chris Jones, but you know what I'm trying to say? The perception has always been positive from the Chris Jones side, and Chris Jones is a hell of a lot more valuable to the team than Lawyer Malloy. I understand the point you're making there, Michael, but Chris Jones is going to go into the Hall of Fame before Lawyer Malloy.
What about Richard Seymour? They got rid of Richard Seymour.
Richard Seymour was at the tail end. He was 32. So Chris Jones is right there. There's a loyalty that needs to be brought to the table, and if the Chiefs give Chris Jones his fat contract that he deserves, that he has earned by carrying this defense for 5-6 seasons, he deserves his money. And
okay, Shaggy, the Arizona Cardinals offer you a first-round pick. Actually, that's a bad one because they're not finna do that. They're trying to get Caleb Williams. The Rams or whoever, I don't know, the Seahawks, they offer you a first-round pick for Chris Jones. You're not like right now. No. You can alleviate yourself of now I'm just thinking hypotheticals, but you alleviate yourself of cap space. That means you can go sign somebody else, or we got to do what we got to do in a draft. You're not taking that?
No, not at all. And after the way he dismissed Marcus Peters in the March of 2018 for a bag of peanuts and some cornflakes, no. I don't trust him to make that deal.
Marcus Peters' issue was, some stuff going on off the field as well.
Yeah, I know that, but still, you could have got a lot more from him. And he did. But the point about Marcus Peters' trade, there was nobody. Orlando Scandrick, Steven
Ron Edwards.
Oh,
hey man, like I said last week, in Beach, we trust or not.
We trust because yes, those two Lombardis,
2 Super Bowls.
Yes, those go with Brett Veach. The only knock is going to be if this Chris Jones thing don't work out, then it's going to be like, man, I love Brett Veach. When they dropped that World Championship 2022 banner, I was there with Clay Wheeler, Red Tribe Cinema. We were crying with 78,000 fans, including Brian B. Shine in 109 because we were so proud to see it. But damn it, after that, the whole Chris Jones debacle, it can get bad for Brett Veach, and I hope he knows that. But right now, he's on top of the world, and I hope and pray we get this Chris Jones deal done soon, because it's
question to all you guys. So are we saying that the Chiefs can't win a Super Bowl without Chris Jones?
No, they can't.
Damn, that's a good question.
I'm not going to say they can't.
They can. They make it exponentially harder.
How'd we do without Marcus Peters?
Yeah, but Marcus
Man.
Peters was, you know, he
32nd rated defense.
I believe
we
in
got to the
15
AFC
so
Championship.
much. I believe in 15 so much, man.
Oh, I
But
do
the D,
too.
like,
why,
but we
why
saw
create that much
we-
pressure?
Well, I know, and we saw what Patrick Mahomes, like that 2018 team, like it felt like he was Superman that year. He had to score. He didn't have to score 50 touchdowns and 5,000 yards, but in that Patriots game, like we were down like what 17 points or something like that, or 10
14-0.
points.
14-0.
It was going into the second half. It was getting dicey, and he had to
Mm-hmm.
put the team on his back, and the defense could not stop a nosebleed that game. So
And Chris Jones was there.
We've gone through way too much of a bad defense. Having a bad defense sucks.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Sucks because
Big
it's
time.
like you feel helpless when they have the ball. Like you can't stop them, bro. It's a helpless feeling, man. So it's scary to see what this Chiefs team look like without 95.
You got to understand, though, my theory's always been that this defense, with this offense, the way it is with Patrick Mahomes, that this defense it's hard pressed to stat out well when it comes to a high flying offense like the Chiefs have. It's really hard to pull that off, guys,
They're
because
getting better at that and playing more under control and not trying the big deep shots. And because that was that was a little bit.
it was.
Problem. It was a little bit of the problem in 2018. They were
Yeah.
scoring so fast, and already bad defense is now gassed and out there immediately again. They're like, "Oh, we're bad. Now we got to go back out there." And Jared Goff scoring over our head again. Oh,
Yeah, and that defense just wasn't that good.
yeah.
No.
Pay 95,
combination.
man. He's the freaking heart and
but-
soul of the defense. Pay
And
95. Come
good with
But
it.
on.
like Veach doesn't want to pay these guys because they're nearing 30 or whatever. He's offering good contracts. It's
Yeah.
just Tyreek Hill and Chris Jones want the
the
top
max.
of the market, and that's
Right.
what the problem is.
It's like
Right,
Logan's Run.
that too.
Hey,
And
because
the Chiefs ain't in the business of doing that.
Nope.
hey, let me tell you, because I was at a few of these Rams training camp there in Irvine, and when you look at that roster, the top guys get all their money, but the rest of the roster, I cannot tell you who those players are, and that's why the Rams are going through what they're going through. So that's why Veach is like, I really have to move very smart.
Gotta
I'm
be
pretty sure-
careful.
yeah, he loved Chris Jones. He knows what Chris Jones adds to this team, but to sacrifice so much that you're going to lose, from paying just one guy can really hurt you, especially when you have to pay so many other pieces.
Well, are we sure they're going to sign Creed Humphrey to an extension at any
Hell
point?
yes.
yeah, you have to
Rodney Hudson and Mitch Morse say no.
Exactly.
you
Ooh,
have to
okay,
pay 15.
Good point.
I think Andy Reid is an
I didn't
offensive
think
line
that all
guy.
the
He was
way
an
through.
offensive line coach with Mizzou. I think there's
Yep.
something about him where he doesn't value the center as much as most people might think, because Rodney Hudson was at the top of his game, Mitch Morse at the top of his game, and they're like, goodbye.
But Chris Humphrey, Creed is different. I think that he's
Left-handed.
different.
I think he's a little different too.
Yeah, I
I
think
do
that
think he was a little
Mitch
different. He's
Morse got a huge
better
deal
than
from
that.
Buffalo and was one of the
Yeah.
top 3 centers.
He had a
at the time.
concussion issue too.
He
He's
did.
like
I
Jason.
it's something to
I
think
think
about
that
and
was
keep
part
in
of
the
the
back of your
reason why the
mind.
Chiefs didn't invest in him. But and then Rodney Hudson, I think he might have wasn't he going into his third contract with the Chiefs? No, he wasn't. Because he was a rookie in 11, right?
Yeah, I'm purely
Yeah,
drinking.
Yeah. So the Chiefs, I don't think the Chiefs stylistically really liked Hudson.
Yeah.
He was still
for Andy
solid.
Reid. He was a great player for sure. Yeah.
We'll
But
see.
it needs,
Guys, we gotta-
it needs to get done. Go ahead.
I got to eat a little bit of crow here, I guess. He made a great play today. I've been hard on him. It's Sky Moore. Made a great
Thank
play
you.
in practice. And so I guess we're just going to have to check that out because I can't ignore it. I can't hide from it. He made the play. Everyone's talking about
Your
it.
head
If
to
we can
the
talk about it here. We can
sky.
see what we're looking at here.
Pat being Pat.
Mahomes with a great throw. Sky makes a great catch. Wait, what?
Sky is
The Trantor
the guy.
troll of the week. Sky scared. What do we got here? Oh, Sky drops it, pops it up. It's picked off by Mike Edwards. Oh, here, no defense. He's out in the open. Sky, you got to catch that, Sky. Come on now. I know you made that great play today, but man, we'll see it one more time because it was a great play. I got to give props to Sky.
Hey, it's been 12 days since the pop-up interception. He's clearly a better player,
That's
more
what
confident in his ability. Our 13 days, so I trust in Sky. I believe that Sky Hey, Brian, I'm with you, man. Last week you said it. I'm going Sky Moore, 1,000 yards.
That
I
is
think
1,000
he's
total
going-
yards.
that is the craziest thing I've ever heard on this
He is
show,
going
and that
to
is
break
up,
okay,
that's
well,
up there.
I have a graphic
Well,
to show just how crazy that is. Thanks for saying that, Clint.
We can get even more crazy.
Oh
Now,
wow!
I ain't never predict none of that now.
Let's look at
Okay?
these first-year receivers here. Sky Moore, 250, 0 touchdowns.
Sylvester Morris got half of that in the game versus the Chargers.
Yep.
Hey, but you know the difference, though, from each of those guys. The difference is that Sky Moore can really be looked at as the number one receiver compared to a lot of those guys. They were like just a part of,
Well, that's not.
part of the system. Because of course it's Kelsey number one, but Sky Moore is going to be the guy that I believe that Patrick is going to count on. We know he can beat one-on-one. He's known for having those huge hands. He has great hands. I think he's going to make a lot of plays this year, and he's going to surprise a lot.
I'm sure a lot of people said that about a lot of these guys after their first year. Man, Sean LaChapelle, wait till year 2. He's going to take off.
Nah, you said that. Ain't nobody said that but you.
Ain't nobody said that.
Is that
But
Sean
I-
LaChapelle or is that Sammy
but I-
Parker in that picture?
Don't do my dog, Sammy.
It
But
looks
I will
like
say
my
this.
least favorite chief of all time. Let's give him credit here.
I will say this. Shame on you for that. Sky Moore, again, will have over 1,000 total yards this year. Period.
You said it.
I already made a $200 bet with some guy on Twitter who's in the DMs and I said
Who
George
did?
Pickens is going to have a better year than Sky Moore, and we got a $200 bet on that. So,
Oh, I wouldn't bet that. Nah, I ain't. George Pickens out there mossing everybody already in preseason.
Oh, the player we could have had. Oh,
But see, Pickens is the number one guy. He's different.
These guys, man.
well.
He's different. I think Sky fits exactly the type of receiver the Chiefs need.
So what you're saying is the Chiefs just don't want big number one receivers that are just mossing people. That's what I've just heard just right
I
now.
want Tim Metcalf or George Pickens.
He set you up for that, Michael.
Yeah, I know they got Ray Rice though. Ray Rice gonna be. I said Ray Rice. They got Rice there.
Yikes.
I like
Rice.
Rasheed.
My fault.
Rasheed is
But
not
yeah,
on my target as being like a guy I'm going to keep my eye on as far as like in a negative way, because there was no real receivers available at that time. I don't think we passed up anybody. You saw the run on receivers at the end of the first round. So Rasheed is going to have a pass at least initially for me.
But I'm telling you, man, Sky is going to get the opportunities. He's going to make plays. George Pickens over there, he's the guy. Like he's the number one.
Why don't we get the guy?
Even the defensive coach and Mike Tomlin. I say Sky has the better opportunity here with Patrick Mahomes, the greatest quarterback ever, and Andy Reid scheming things up. He's available to scheme things up for him, get him open. He's had some opportunities out there, and he's not doing it. And meanwhile, George Pickens is over here with Mitch Trubisky and Kenny Pickett and a defensive coach and Mike Tomlin.
The season hasn't started yet.
The Steelers are in a situation where they don't. Two things. They don't have Patrick Mahomes, one. They don't have Jerick McKinnon. They don't have Travis Kelce. So a lot is dependent on George Pickens.
Yeah.
So
They had players last year they gave away.
Washington? If George
It's
Pickens
Claypool.
or DJ Metcalf was on the Chiefs, in my opinion, I still think that they would be behind a Tyreek Hill at that time and Jerick McKinnon. Just the way Patrick Mahomes looks in the pocket when he gets in trouble, Jerick McKinnon is there. Jerick McKinnon had more touchdown receptions than Justin Jefferson last year. So if we're going to be breaking down, if we're going to be
Apples and
breaking down,
oranges.
if we're going to be breaking down wide receivers between George Pickens and Sky Moore, we have to say, well, Jerick McKinnon's catching 9 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns in 5 games. So we have to include that stat because that's how this offense works. So it's kind of apples and oranges if we're talking about George Pickens in this offense. If with Jerick McKinnon and Travis Kelce being such scoring threats.
I mean, I just think if you got George Pickens out there, he's getting his 1,000 yards and putting up gigantic numbers. Tyreek Hill's now gone as of last year. George Pickens, a rookie coming in here, he would have been just mossing people, like Brian said, and not going out there putting up 250 yards, muffing 3 punts, no touchdowns.
But I think they looked at Sky as the replacement for Tyreek, a small, explosive receiver.
Oh God, not this again.
There's no replacement for Tyreek Hill.
No, there's
And that'll wrap it up today, guys. We appreciate everyone joining us.
That's why they signed Juju so he can be the big body guy. So they're like, why would we draft a guy like Juju that we just signed? So let's go and get more of a smaller speedster guy that we can do some gadget stuff.
The goalpost
and,
moving
the
is
regular
just
stuff.
exhausting with these receivers, guys. It's going to exhaust me for 3 more years, isn't it? You got 3 more years to do this crap.
You
And I
got
can't-
your nerve. You know what? You got your nerve complaining about these receivers. We got 2 Super Bowls in the past 5 years.
No.
Come on now.
We're talking about splitting hairs here. Let's just be honest.
Yes,
when
we
it comes
are.
to any criticisms, what else are we going to do? Sit here and have a party every week? I'd love to because I'm
We're going
living in the world. But we got to
Our
talk
biggest
about something.
Brian,
Yeah,
I disagree. Sky Moore's going to get
America.
800. You say 1,000, I say 800. Like, that's the big disagreement here.
Like you got to. We're splitting minutia on anything that's going to do with criticism. The Chris Jones thing is a big deal, but man, we got to talk about something. We could have a party every single week, and Noah, you could host that Lombardi Trophy up. We could drink off of it. I could go over there and drink a Miller Lite off of it, like the Lombardi Luge. But there's things about this team and intricacies that we're trying to get to. We're already should be knowing that this is the golden era, that we're living in the greatest of times, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. I wouldn't trade it for anything in my life.
Never.
So that being said, there are the small minutia of things that we will have to discuss, and that's what
Sky
we're doing.
Moore is going to have a little over 500 yards if that's our biggest disagreement, but we still all agree this is a Super Bowl team, and we're just going to live it up.
And exactly. And if we're talking, you can't say 1,000 yards for Sky Moore or Rashee Rice yet, just because of the fact that, hear me out one more time. How many receptions did Kareem Hunt with Patrick Mahomes have? How many touchdown passes did Damian Williams catch in his playoff run with the Chiefs? Record setting. How many touchdown passes did our running backs? The way that we throw to the running backs and Damian Williams and Kareem Hunt and Jerick McKinnon keep catching all these touchdowns, it's going to stunt stats of the wide receivers. And as long as every time that we watch a Chiefs game this year and Mahomes hits McKinnon for a touchdown or throws to Pacheco for a touchdown, remember, I threw a lot of touchdown passes to Damian Williams, to Kareem Hunt. So that is going to take away a lot of the stats that we think should go to Sky Moore or Rashee Rice or Richie James or Justin Ross.
Well, they didn't say, we've got Travis Kelce and now we've got Jerick McKinnon. So sorry, Tyreek, you're 300 yards. Sorry, we're throwing to the backs now. So if you have that stud wide receiver like a DK Metcalf and a George Pickens, looks like he could potentially turn into, they're getting their numbers. And Jerick McKinnon's going to have to take a lesser role. Some of the other receivers are going to have to take a lesser role. That's what
I don't think that'll happen. I think they're going to continue to throw to the running back.
Because we don't have those guys. We've just got a bunch of just at receiver. So,
and I like Richie James, and I like some of the pieces, and I think we'll be fine.
I like Richie.
Let's just get that.
DK or George.
I think that Jerick. I think that season was kind of a lot of teams didn't expect for him to do that. I think this year more teams are going to be looking to take that away. So I don't see him having a big touchdown season again. That's why I think the receivers are going to have to win more one-on-ones. So it's going to give opportunities to a guy like Richie James and Sky Moore to get into the end zone and get those numbers, because they're going to say, hey, take away Kelce. We know that we have to keep an eye on, this running back. He had 10 touchdowns last year. All the teams are going through their tape preparing for that. So they're going to really be like, hey, let's see if these wide receivers can beat us. And I think that Sky is the top guy out of all of the receivers the Chiefs have.
Well, we can agree to disagree, but we've got a comment here from One Arrowhead Drive. Is this a weekly? Yes, Arrowhead Allies every Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Central. Be there, be square. Kevin Capel, we've talked about this, but maybe you're late. Does anybody know how bad the Ross injury is? Ian Rappaport, Matt Verderam have said it doesn't appear to be that serious. So we'll see more. We'll know more kind of as Saturday rolls around here if he's going to play in that game or not. And Tom Hood, that's respectable. Sky will get 700 yards this season, my prediction. I think in the mid 500s, possibly you get into that 600. That's mine. Then we got some thousands out here. I don't know where those come from.
So that means Patrick is only going to throw 3,500 yards. Most of it to Travis and nobody, because I don't see who else he's going to throw the ball to. That's going to give you somebody.
There was not a 1,000-yard receiver last year.
Juju
was close. But Juju didn't he miss? How many games Juju missed?
A couple, and he had 900. I mean,
so if he would have played those 2 games, or at least one more, he gets 1,000 yards. So somebody has to take that role, and I think that Sky is going to be the guy.
I think it's receiver by committee, and that could go as much as 5-6 deep, and just it's going to be spread around 600, 400, 700, all in there.
Okay.
The Chiefs, but our biggest battle of the show that we've ever had is about to be underway, because we got to look at these sideline hats, and I know Brian's a fan.
Trash.
No battle here. I think we all agree.
Looks like my senior year of high school. It's trash. It's uninspiring. It's boring. It's terrible. Like it's just blah. They just threw it out there. So
You mean you like these better, Brian?
Yes.
Yes.
Not necessarily.
I do.
Those are my favorites.
Those sideline hats are terrible, man. Like I wouldn't give my worst enemy one of those hats. That's how bad they are. I talked about it on my other show, The Breaks. That is something that the NFL should have never brought out. It is terrible.
Don't make me go get my favorite Chiefs hats.
Throw those things.
Here,
I love the Zuba one. I love a lot of these.
Yeah, a lot of those are legendary.
I like the paint swipe down the middle, the bottom right there. That was a good one.
Yes.
The red
logo.
waves up in the top right.
Yeah,
I love it.
The 90s, the design, like the art of the 90s. Like if you look at NFL uniforms, NBA uniforms, like it was wild. It was electric, but man, it was fun. And like, Michael, like if you look at the Grizzlies, the Raptors, the Pistons back then, the Rockets, everything was so loud and outlandish. And dang it, I loved it.
Yeah, that's what they need to get back to. That's why you see the Oilers are they're going to be wearing those jerseys.
Right. A lot of throwbacks.
Throwback Seattle. Those are my favorite jerseys. The blue with the silver helmets. I think those jerseys are amazing. Like, it just sucks that the Chiefs don't have any alternates or throwbacks. But as long as they win football games.
No. See, now I need to put my headphones on.
Let me see the hat.
No. And I'm glad. And I checked my video out on TikTok for my Chiefs #1 ranking in the uniforms. But Clark Hunt said, no,
he did.
There's no alternates. Never. It's not happening. Okay.
Because Brian, think about like the Lakers. We know the purple and gold is it, but sometimes you got to do the Mamba jerseys. You got to do the throwback.
No, we don't. We don't need to. For what? That's why I'm be disinterested in the NBA a lot of times. Something like what the hell are what Nuggets? What are you wearing pink for? Like, come on, bro. Wear your regular uniforms, dog.
I agree about that. Yeah.
These
are the best. This is one of my favorite sideline caps that the Chiefs ever had. The one with the big stripe over here. Oh, it
definitely
was
better than the current version.
Yeah. And of course the draft hat. I really like the draft hat. It's creative. Like you see how the logo is inside of the word, like that's creative as hell. That trash that the pinwheel. What are we doing here?
I want everybody to pick one. This is your Christmas present this year. Just pick one and send your size
like a Little John video. One of those where the field mob. I'm sick of being lonely. Look up field mob. Sick of being lonely. That hat is in that video. I'm not lying to you about it. Ooh, this was a cold Chiefs when we switch it back to this one. This is one of my favorite ones.
That's classic.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. This is of course the 60th anniversary patch. Of course, gotta have that. Let's see.
They need to let the fans vote on these hats because
for real though,
whoever came up with the nonsense for the sideline hats, those are terrible. I don't know.
Even this one, I can mess with this one. Just plain and simple and nice. You know what I'm saying?
We got like I don't know what they were thinking. But shout out to John. He said Shane is right. McKinnon is going to have catches. He's going to have catches. I just don't think he's going to have 9 touchdowns.
I think he could. I mean, I think he could have a similar season as last year. I was just saying
I do too.
George and DK were here, but they're not.
I just think teams are going to try to take that away in the red zone. Like we can't have this guy beat us, like last year. He hasn't had a year like that before last year. So I think it was just one of those. He caught a lot of guys off guard. Hell, that was going to be Clyde Edwards-Hilaire's numbers if he didn't go down with an injury because what did he have? 6 before he went down?
Oh, so, he was a machine, a touchdown machine last year early in the season.
Yeah, so I think that number is going to be spread around to others, and guys are going to be able. Hell, it might be Noah Gray who steps up and be a guy who gets a bunch of touchdowns this year.
Or if Kareem comes back, you never know.
Let that one go.
Kareem Hunt, Justin Houston's coming back. Kareem Hunt's coming back. Man.
Yeah, that Justin
I was never on board with Justin Houston.
But. that one hurt. I thought the Chiefs would be but where's Dunlap? Carlos,
We
where
can't
are
afford to
you?
make any deals because they got to get Chris Jones' contract extension done. We don't have any salary cap room to sign anybody. I'd surprised if the water boy pulled his hamstring running down the field if we had anybody to freaking sign him because we're maxed out. We got to get the Chris Jones extension done now to pick up Dunlap, to pick up somebody.
So you telling me they don't have enough money that if you go down with an injury that you're not going to be able to show up next Tuesday?
I would do my best, but I think they know I'm going to be 54 in November, and I'm probably about 25 years past the age bracket they want. I think the only person available that can rush the quarterback that they could sign right now would be D Ford.
No.
Interesting.
Year crickets, D Ford crickets.
Guys, before we get out of here, the Chiefs will head back to Phoenix, which has been a most fortuitous city for the Chiefs to play in. That's where it started, and it ended last year for the Kansas City Chiefs, and we will head there on Saturday to play the Arizona Cardinals, who will be showcasing their new uniforms. Brian will look and see how they look in person. So what are we going to take from this situation?
Keep Justin Ross off that field now that I think about it.
Hopefully he
plays.
plays.
Good point.
Hopefully he doesn't play. Keep Justin Ross off that field.
Yeah, keep Patrick off the field. Just my thing in preseason, just no injuries. I would love to win, but no injuries.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
we don't
my
need
expectation.
we don't need a W. It's the preseason, but I want to see a better pass rush and play from the D line, because it's not just only Chris Jones that has the ball out. The team had 55 sacks last year, so it was a lot of guys who helped with that, who are no longer with the team. So I want to see better play from the D line. I want to see something from the running game. See, a few plays with the first team that can lead to a first down. I want to see what's going to happen. 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. What are the Chiefs going to do? Is it going to be the Blake Bell quarterback dive? I hope it's not. I hate that play. We need to see something else. And then Rashee Rice, I want to see what he does. And then the secondary. Last year, they had a lot of balls that they could have attacked in the air that they didn't make the play. I want to see them get more deflections, more interceptions. So hopefully they can show us a little more than they did last week.
Hey, real quick.
Smoked.
Okay, real quick. Isn't it odd? I need somebody to answer this. Isn't it odd that Andy Reid is an offensive genius, but we have no plan for 3rd and inches?
It's concerning. It always has
It's
been.
like, wait a minute. It's like
Without a fullback.
It's like, wait a minute. Andy Reid is this offensive genius, and he is. Andy Reid is a genius, but there's nothing for 3rd and inches but Blake Bell.
Put on the tape of the Eagles Super Bowl. They need to mimic their quarterback sneak, because it's the most unstoppable play in the history of football.
Man,
so you just got to do that. Like I would let the team know we're going to run the ball, but this is how we're going to run it. So I wouldn't even have Patrick on the field, add an extra blocker. Maybe you can put somebody else under center and just push this guy forward so we can keep the drives going.
Thank you. Great show, guys. I'm looking forward to next Tuesday. You guys all kick ass. I love you all. Let's go have a healthy Saturday night, and we'll be back here Tuesday night. Thank you, Noah, Clint, Brian, and Michael.
Yep.
Go Chiefs!
Chiefs!
Let's go Chiefs!
Howdy.